Welcome back everyone, Meanpooh here with a help video. Sorry it's been so long. With the event of these bad storms in my neck of the woods, it was impossible for me to do anything. Very high winds, trees down, no electricity for days, food ruined, etc. So, if you're one of the people who purchased the Acer Nitro 5 with the 256GB SSD, you might be stressing out a bit about some space, right? Reason being is that maybe you have a lot of video on your drive. Or maybe you have 5 large games installed and have no room for a new game that has just been released. Yeah, you could delete 1 or 2 of them, but you would just hate to download them again, especially if your connection isn't that fast. Did you know that the Acer Nitro 5 has an extra bay on the bottom to fit another drive? Yep, it sure does. So say for instance you were given a drive from a friend, or you saved some money to expand your storage. Now what? Well, if you're kind of nervous messing around with computers, don't be. This is a real easy upgrade that is real hard to mess up. Just follow me and I'll show you how. Power down your machine and remove all cables, mice, power, etc. You can also remove your new or used drive from its packaging if you want. Don't sit it on the machine as I have. This is just for demonstration purposes. Another thing you can do is ground yourself to remove static. You can do that by using an anti-static wristband, touching something metal like your desktop computer, using an electrostatic discharge mat, or gloves like me. I would at least do one of them as it can save you a headache later on. Moving on, you'll want to turn your machine over as such. Insert a small Phillips screwdriver and turn counterclockwise around 7 to 9 turns and remove the cover. Use something thin like a credit card and pry the lid off, working from the top right to the left and then down. There are tabs like on the RAM slot that may give you a little resistance. Once done, you should see the metal shield for the extra drive. Don't try to remove just yet as there are 4 screws holding it down. Remove the 4 screws turning counterclockwise. Be careful as the screws can fall down into the corners. If you are clumsy, some tweezers should be handy. You might be able to use a magnetized driver to make sure the screw stays contained, but I'm not convinced that the magnets have little effect on computer parts. Do so at your own risk. I've just not had good luck with magnets. Looking close at the screws, there are traces of thread lock or Loctite. This is used to keep the screw in place, and if you have some handy, you can use it when putting the screws back, but it's not necessary. Remove the shield, and don't worry about that bend that you see. It's not permanent. It's very soft. Here you are exposed to the SATA cable. Grab your drive and take note of the pin locations. You want to line them up, cable to drive, and push till snug. If you are one of the owners that do not have this cable, you can call Acer and get a hard drive upgrade kit. Here is the part number, and here's the number in the US. Moving on, fit the drive in the bay. It should fit perfectly with little room on both sides. Get the drive shield and put it over the drive like so. It's a little tricky as you have to fit the metal grooves between the drives and the case. After you fit the shield, replace all 4 screws. Take your time as they are small and can fall between the cracks. Like I said earlier, if you want to use Loctite or thread lock, this is the time to do it, but it's not necessary. Just apply a small dab to the screw. After turning the screw clockwise, grab the bay cover like so and press down. Make sure everything is flush. If the screw is still in the bay cover, turn it clockwise till everything is tight. Turn over your machine, attach the power and any peripherals you want, and boot up. Log into Windows and right-click on the Windows icon and select Disk Management. If your drive was used, you may see something like this. Since I installed a 40GB drive, I know that Disk 1 is what I'm working with. Disk 0 is the system drive, and we want to leave that one alone. Here we have a couple of partitions and some unallocated space. Some things we can do, for example, are like creating a new volume, You can format a drive. You can delete a volume. And some volumes can't do anything at all to. This is a mess. Let's try to clean this up the long way. Let's delete this and delete this. This isn't working. There is a very simple solution to clean up a drive, especially for partitions that will not erase. Right-click on the Windows icon and go to the Windows PowerShell with Admin Rights. Once loaded, type disk part and enter. Type list disk. You should get a listing of the available drives. The disk we want is disk 1. Make sure that you pick the right drive. Make a note if you have to, just to have some idea of what size drive you have installed. I added a 2TB Firecuda, which was easy to distinguish. With this demonstration, I used a 40GB, which is also easy to tell apart. So when you feel confidence, type select disk 1, hit enter, and again, make sure that you have the correct drive selected. If you're good to go, type clean and then enter. When finished, go back to disk management and you should see that all the partitions are gone except for one and the space is unallocated. What we need to do is right click on the disk 1 and select initialize. Now what you see here is the screen that is shown when a new drive is installed. There are some exceptions, but the majority of the people will see this. You can choose MBR or GPT. So I'm going to tell you the difference and make it very simple. MBR, Master Boot Record, is old. It came out in the days of DOS. GPT or GUID partition table is new and it's replacing MBR. MBR works with disks up to 2 TB in size, but can't handle disks with more than 2 TB of space, and MBR only supports up to 4 primary partitions. There are hacks to get around this, but you don't want to fool with that. GPT allows for nearly unlimited amounts of partitions, and the limit will be your operating system. Also, Windows allows up to 128 partitions on a GPT drive. Finally, on an MBR disk, the partitioning and boot data is stored in one place. If this data is overwritten or corrupted, you might be at a loss. GPT stores multiple copies of the data across the disk, so it's much more robust and can recover if the data is corrupted. GPT also stores CRC, cyclic redundancy check values, to check that the data is intact. If the data is corrupted, GPT can notice the problem and attempt to recover the damaged data from another location on the disk. MBR had no way of knowing if its data was corrupted. You'd only see that there was a problem when the boot process failed or your drive's partition vanished. So, myself, I choose GPT regardless of the size. I don't see myself going back down in older operating systems in which GPT is not supported. Now let's create a volume, get it formatted, and a new name. Right-click on the unallocated space and select New Simple Volume. If you are making just one partition, leave Simple Volume Size as default and click Next. Give a volume name and click Next. Finished! What about these red icons at the top of the screen? We can fix that. Let's hit refresh. Nope. What about rescan disks? Nope, that didn't work. Okay, just close disk management and open it back up. Now it's all good. Pat yourself on the back. You're done. Now you can enjoy your extra space for your videos and games. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Meanpooh, out.